So I am Dickson Mbeya. I'm a cartographer and a GIS expert. I work as a cartography technician with Malawi University of Science and Technology. I'm also a master's student doing biodiversity informatics master's with the same Malawi University of Science and Technology. My background also is in earth sciences. I got a BSc from University of Malawi, and in which I majored in earth sciences. Recently, I also won an RCM-RD 2022 map competition. My GIS experience, my QGIS experience, is I've been teaching QGIS to undergrads since 2017, and also I've been coordinating a number of short courses in QGIS. But also, in addition to that, I've worked in some projects using QGIS. So that's a brief background of who I am. And I would ask you to introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us where you are from and your name.
So my name is Abdurrahman Yassin. I hope everybody can hear me.
Yeah, this session
Hello.
is being recorded, and access to the recording will be sent to you through the email, your email addresses. So who are you? Who you are? This is what you had indicated. I think we have the 7 people joining, even more than that. Some are joined later, registered later. Then we have about half of the participants are from Malawi. Others from 2 people from Nigeria, others from Canada, UK, Zimbabwe, Sudan. And most of us who have rated ourselves GIS to say we are between intermediate. So the majority has little knowledge in GIS. Then the others have 35% of the participants intermediate, and 12% they don't have any GIS knowledge. So this session is for everyone. If you have GIS knowledge or you don't, you find it useful. Your QGIS experience, majority, they are beginners. Then we've got 28%, they don't have any experience. Rules for this session, as I already said, please switch off your video, switch off your mic, respect other participants as they are participating in this session, and post our questions in the chat, and I will attend to them during the break time and during the Q&A session. What is going to be covered? So we are going to, I'll give you a brief background of GIS. And again, in this, we'll look at why should we bother ourselves with GIS and what we can do with GIS. What are the GIS components, GIS functions, and GIS data or GIS spatial data models. Then you go into hands-on by looking at the QGIS user interface, how you can load data, vector and raster data. You understand what vector and raster data is through the introductory session. And then you look at the explore properties of the GIS data. Then you work with attribute table, attribute data, and then we'll make our first QGIS map. And then at the end, if time allows, we'll be able to do some spatial analysis and try to analyze, try to visualize raster data. I should believe that you've accessed the data set that I'd shared, and again, the guide for the exercise. I haven't shared this presentation. I'll share it later. So, what is GIS? Anyone in the chat who can define for us GIS? What GIS is? Just type in the chat. What is GIS? So GIS is an acronym. It stands for Geographic Information System or Geographic Information Systems. It is defined as a computer-based system or a computerized system that is used for capturing, preparing, storing, or maintaining and manipulating, even analyzing and presenting data. So that is the definition of a GIS. A Geographic Information System, it's a computerized system or computer-based, meaning you need to have a computer, and its functions are capturing data, preparing or storing data, maintaining or manipulating or analyzing and presenting data. There are 5 components of GIS. You have the hardware, the software, you have data, you have people, and of methods. Hardware, we are talking of computer. It can be a computer. It may be a smartphone. It's a desktop or a laptop. This is where your GIS is housed. The software is housed, the data is housed, and the methods are housed. Then you have the software. This is an application now that you use for data capturing, data analysis, data management, maintenance, even data presentation. Then you have data itself, which is the third component of GIS. So without data, you don't have GIS. Then you have methods. Methods, these are procedures that are there that are guiding you in the analysis, data manipulation, data storage, data visualization. So those methods that guide you in the way you handle data in GIS. Then you have people. So without you and me, there is no GIS. We form the third component, the fifth component of GIS. All these together, all these 5 components together, they make GIS. Without one of them, there is no GIS. So GIS is composed of these. You need to have it. You need to have a computer. You need to have a software, a GIS application. You need to have data set, whether it's vector or it's raster data. Then you need to have methods, guidelines. Then you need to have somebody working on that computer, working with that software, working on that data set, then following those guidelines. That makes GIS. Then Roger Tomlinson is known as the father of GIS. I like what he said. He said, no GIS can be a success without the right people involved. A real-world GIS is actually a complex system of interrelated parts, and at the center of this is a smart person who understands the whole. So you and me we can be considered to be the hub of GIS, in that you can't have computers, you can't have software, you can't have methods, you can't have data that operates on its own. So it requires you and me to be there and to work on the data set using the software that is available. In this case, we'll be talking about QGIS. So a real-world GIS is a complex system of integrated parts, as we have seen. And they will say at the center of this is a smart person who understands the whole. What are the functions of GIS? GIS is used for data capturing and preparation. I mentioned this, data storage, data analysis, and data presentation. So you can capture data, you can prepare data. One of the ways in which GIS is used to capture data is through what is known as digitizing, on-screen digitizing, where you want to digitize maybe a scanned map, a scanned image. You want to generate GIS data. You can capture data in that way. Or maybe you go into the field with your GPS, global positioning system, and then you collect data, you enter data in Excel, and then you import that data in a GIS software, and you convert it into GIS data. Then it's data storage. So there are a number of databases, geodatabases in GIS, and then you can store your data set in the databases. Data analysis. Data analysis, you would want to get or to gain more knowledge or understanding of the data. So things that may not be obvious. To get an understanding. So you analyze data, you generate questions, you got questions, and then you have your data set, you work on the data set to try to answer the questions that you have generated. So that is the data analysis. We'll look at this. Maybe you would want to find villages that are located within a particular district or particular state. You would want to find how many cities in Africa, in the African continent. If you have got data set on the city locations, you will be able to do that analysis in GIS and be able to come up with the output. Data representation, data can be presented in different formats. So what are known as information products, whether you may have a map, a printed map, or it may be a digital copy. You can create a web map, you can create a web app, which can be interactive. So those are the different ways in which you can present data in GIS. I will briefly talk about GIS data models or GIS data as coming in two forms. You've got what is known as spatial data or geographic data, where which answers the question of where. So the question of where, you want to locate where something is sited or resides on the earth. So it describes where an object resides on earth. It includes the X and Y coordinates or addresses. So the X, Y, and coordinates can be the latitudes and the longitudes. When you have your GPS or your phone with the GPS location, you're trying to identify, you're trying to locate places. So that is known as the spatial data or geographic data or georeference data or geospatial data. It's just one and the same thing. It answers the question of where. And then you've got what is known as the attribute data. Attribute data, it describes the non-location information, the name of something. Okay. For instance, Malawi is a country. The name is Malawi, but where is Malawi found? Then you give the coordinates. That is the spatial data. But when you talk of the name of the country, that is the attribute data. It describes the location information. So you may have the latitudes and the longitudes, whether in decimal degrees, or you may have the X and Y coordinates in meters. And then you have, that is the spatial data. And then you have the name or the characteristics of a particular object. That is the attribute data. Now, GIS data also is represented in two forms. You've got what is known as vector data, which is used to define objects with distinct boundaries. Approaches for the spelling there. Distinct boundaries, such as, for instance, you may have a river, a country boundaries, city locations. These are well-defined boundaries. You can determine the beginning, where they start from and where they end. And then you'd be able to draw the boundaries. So these these are what are known as this kind of representation. When you want to represent these objects, you represent it in GIS in form of a vector, and then you got vector comes in three. Vector data representation comes in three forms. It can be a point, so an object can be represented as a point. An object can be represented as a line, or an object can be represented as a polygon. So a point may be defined by the X and Y coordinate location, where a line is defined by two or more locations that are connected with lines, and a polygon is defined using multiple locations that are connected and are closed. So when you look at this, you have got points. Points would be, let's say, capital cities of countries of the world. So you have the location of the cities on a global map appearing as points. Or you may have lines. A line, an example would be major rivers in Africa, for instance. Then you've got these lines. They are defined by two or more locations. So when you want to represent a line is you first have different points, and then these are connected. So a line has a line is at minimum it has a first point and the end node. So they are known as nodes, the first node and the end node. And then when you join these nodes, you form a line. And then you connect to other nodes, you form a polyline. Or you may have a polygon. A polygon would be, let's say, the continental boundaries or country boundaries. That is a polygon. It has to be a line that has been closed. So you first have a point, then you connect the points with the you connect the points, you form a line, and then you close the line, you form a polygon. And a polygon would be, let's say, the boundary of African countries, or it would be a lake boundary. So that would be a polygon. Then you have what is known as raster data set or raster data representation, where you define objects or phenomena that doesn't have distinct boundaries. So we talked of discrete boundaries, and then we are now talking of objects or that don't have distinct boundaries, or they are continuous in it. At every point, you can get a value. So an example would be temperature, or it would be elevation. You will not represent these phenomena in form of a polygon or a point. I would want to represent them in GIS using a raster data model. So what happens in a raster data model? You've got equal-sized cells that are in rows, arranged in rows and columns like this. And for each cell has a value. An example has been, this is a boundary of a polygon. This is a digital elevation surface or a digital elevation model for Malawi that represents elevation. So in a GIS, this is a raster data model. And when the representation behind this surface is that it's made up of different cells that are equal sized. And for each cell, there is a value. So if at this point, elevation is 100 meters above sea level, it means that value represents a cell. Okay, it represents a cell. Within that cell, anything that is within that cell has that value, is assigned that value. The sizes of the cells are determined by what is known as the resolution. That determines the size of the cells. But also, you can use raster data model to represent discrete phenomena. For instance, land cover. You can determine, you may have, let's say I want to represent land cover for a particular area of study, a particular study area, and then you would just code the cells with the land cover values. An example that's given here, you have, this is a land cover map for Malawi based on the European Space Agency 2020 land cover dataset, global dataset. Then for each cell, so this is a raster, this is raster data, and for each cell you have a value, and the values, they have been coded by these codes, the values 50, 90, 60, 10, 30, 20, 80, and 40. And each value has a meaning. Whether it represents water, it represents vegetation, maybe it's bare land, maybe it's built up area, or it's grassland. So that is how you can represent data or raster data in form of, that's how you can represent discrete data using a raster data model. So basically, these are the two common ways in which GIS data is represented. Now, there is another thing that we need to understand before we go into working with data in QGIS, GIS data layers, and the layers, GIS layers, these are groups of point, line, or polygon features that represent a particular class or type of real-world entities. So what we mean here is, in GIS, you do model the real world. So you cannot put the whole world in a GIS, but you need to create a model, a representation of reality. So how is that done? You use the layers. So if you would want to create a map for a particular city, which is the real world here, you would divide the components of that city in form of layers. You would have a layer, for instance, for the roads. So a road layer in GIS would have water features. You would have maybe landmarks within the city, boundaries and demographics. Transportation covers whether you're talking of rail network, road network, that's transportation. Then you would have maybe other data sets that you'd want also to present in GIS. So by the end of the day, you are trying to create a model, a representation of the real world, using different layers. So we understand this better when we work with the layers in QGIS. So these layers it's not just points, lines, and polygons, but you may also have satellite rasters. So rasters, for instance, you have an example I had already given. You have land cover, you have a digital elevation model. You want to represent elevation, which is the height above sea level, or maybe you want to represent, you have an image, a satellite image, or maybe you have a drone image. So you have all those things coming as layers in GIS. But when you put them together, they form the map that you see, the real world, a representation of the real world. So layers, they contain the visual representation of the feature and a link from the feature to its database attributes. So what happens is you have your layers in your GIS, and then you see the boundaries of the layers, and then behind that you also have the attributes, a description of what those layers are. Maybe if you talk of roads, then you talk of road class, road type. If it's maybe buildings, you talk of sizes, owner of that building. So that data set is stored in a database, in database attributes. So in a GIS, the beauty of GIS is that it's able to join the visual representation with the attribute of the same object. Now, how can you use GIS? These are just examples citing how you can use GIS. You say a disaster risk manager may use GIS to identify suitable sites for siting flood evacuation camps. Or maybe you are a retail manager and you want to use GIS to identify places to open new retail shops in a city. Or you're a traffic officer and you want to use GIS to identify hotspot accident locations in a city. And then you want to come up with ways that would minimize accident hazards on the roads. or you're an M&E officer, monitoring and evaluation officer, and you want to use GIS to map a project intervention area, or you are an environmental officer and you are interested in understanding the land cover dynamics in a particular area, and you would use GIS to determine the land cover patterns within a particular period. So you can do a time series analysis and be able to see what has changed over a period of time using GIS. Now, how is GIS used? There are a number of ways in which GIS is used, a lot of them. One of them is these are just few examples, 3 examples. The famous Johns Hopkins University COVID-19 dashboard. It uses GIS. It's built on ArcGIS dashboards. And then we were able to track the spread of COVID cases throughout the world. So we were able to see and get information, understand the cases, the rise or the falling of the cases with time globally. So that is GIS. You would want, maybe as a hydrologist, you would want to do a river catchment management. You would use GIS. You can use GIS to do to delineate catchment areas and visualize the same. Or you would want, you are a biodiversity expert and would want to manage protected areas and would want to see, you are looking at the status of the protected areas in a country, and then you would use GIS, come up with different maps and stories, create a story map, and be able to and share that with the other stakeholders in the biodiversity sector. We have talked of what GIS is, and we've looked at examples of how it can be used. Now, most over the years, I come across this problem where somebody confuses a GPS with a GIS. So a GIS is not a GPS, and a scanned map in a computer is not a GIS. A GPS is a device that is used to collect geographic data, spatial data, but on its own, it's not a GIS. It's a global positioning system. A scanned map is not a GIS. A scanned map and is not spatial data until it has been georeferenced. It has been assigned real-world coordinates, the latitudes and the longitudes, or the X and Y coordinates. Now, please feel free to post your question in the chat. I'll attend to them during the break time. We now shift our focus to the main event of the day, QGIS. So QGIS is, what is QGIS? I saw that a number of us are not familiar with GIS, or are not familiar, even maybe just beginners in working with QGIS. QGIS is a free and open source GIS, which was born in 2002. Being free and open source, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a license, only that it's not a commercial software. You are free to use it, and you are free to modify it, customize it according to your needs. It's licensed under the general user, a general public license. It's an official project of Open Source Geospatial Foundation. It runs on Unix, macOS, and Windows. This is different with some other commercial software that only run on Windows. And it supports vector, raster, and database formats, numerous formats. So that is the power of QGIS. Being free doesn't mean that it's cheap in its capabilities, or it's not powerful in its capabilities. So advantages of working with QGIS, there are some few of us that would want to migrate from commercial to open source GIS. Free of cost, and it can be free and modified. That's the first advantage. So you don't have to pay money for you to have, just need to have money for your bundle and money to buy a computer and then download and install, and off you go. You start working with your data set. and it's flexible and powerful. It has flexible and powerful spatial data management support. So it supports raster, vector, mesh, point cloud data, and in a range of different formats. And it supports beautiful cartography. You can create beautiful maps using QGIS, large variety of rendering options, whether you want to create 2D maps, 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. And we say it's near a complete replication of symbology options that are available in proprietary software by ESRI. For instance, in ArcGIS or ArcMap, ArcGIS Pro. So you've got symbology in GIS, in QGIS, that is just like a replication of the same, and even with a significant extension. And QGIS is advanced and robust geospatial analysis, offers advanced and robust geospatial analysis. So you have powerful processing framework, over 200 native geoprocessing algorithms that are embedded in QGIS. You got access to even more than 1,000 processing algorithms via other providers, geospatial data library, abstraction library, Saga GIS, Grass GIS, Orfeo Toolbox. You can access all these others through QGIS. So like in this is a processing toolbox for QGIS. These are the native geoprocessing algorithms, and these are other algorithms that are provided by other providers. So within Whitebox too, there are different tools that you can use for hydrological analysis. Just GDA has a lot, Crayfish has a lot of other functionalities that you can use for mesh data. Quick OSIM, you want to visualize OpenStreetMap maps data in your QGIS. So there are a lot of things that you can do to extend your software. And then you also have, for instance, this is Planet Explorer integrated in QGIS. You're able to access satellite images direct from the QGIS interface. These are just two examples, two products of QGIS. Potential mountain lion habitat map. Then this is another map for Colombia. You see, this is a beautiful cartograph. All this done in QGIS. So I believe that your zeal to learn QGIS is going to materialize, pay, because QGIS offers advanced capabilities and powerful, just as commercial GIS. So there are 4 applications of QGIS applications. You have QGIS Desktop, the common one, the one that we'll be using today, where you want to create data, edit, analyze, and publish data. Then there is QGIS Server. You want to publish your QGIS projects and layers as OGC compatible WMS, WMTS, WFS, or WCS services. There is QGIS Web Client. You want to publish your QGIS projects on the web. Or there is QGIS on mobile or on tablets. You want to work on tablets, mobile GIS. You want to go in the field, collect data, and then as you collect your field data, you also want to directly sync your data collection with your software. So you have QField, merging apps, input app, and then the intra maps row. All these are there to support your QGIS on mobile devices. Now, I sent you a tutorial on how you can install QGIS. I believe we've gone through that and we've installed our software, and we are good to go. We are going to work with QGIS 3.22.14, which is the long-term release version. The long-term release version is the most stable version. The current, I think the latest version is QGIS 3.28, but it's still under development. There are still improvements, but this one is the most stable one. Then I've provided links, I think even in the exercise guide, which I have circulated, which you can use to download the software. A brief introduction to the interface of QGIS. When you open your QGIS, these are the things that you're going to see. Firstly, you have the menu bar. This is where you can access different tools from the menu and functions of the software. You want to save your project, you want to open another project, you want to edit data, you want to view different windows, you want to add different layers or create new layers, change the settings, add new plugins, access the vector and raster processing tools, and so on. Then there are two bars, the direct links to your algorithms or processing tools. Then you have the panels, okay? You can access, so you have the layers panel down here. This is where when you add your data set to your software, the layers are going to appear in the layers panel. We talked about GIS data representation in form of layers. Then you have the browser panel. You can use this to yes, I'll share the documents. Then you can use the browser panel to work with, to access different directories where you are storing your data. You can also use the same to connect to different web portals. So web portals or GIS data portals, they host GIS data online. You can use the same. Let's say you want to work with, connect to databases. For instance, PostgreSQL or PostGIS. You can work with, you can use the web QGIS browser panel to access that. Then there is another panel here is the processing toolbox. That's where you have the power, powerful algorithms, so processing algorithms that you can use to do a different analysis. Then you have the map view. That's where your map is going to draw when you add the layers to your project. You have the status bar here. You can see the coordinates, the scale. You can magnify the location, magnify the map view. Then you can change the coordinate systems. We'll not go into those because it's another topic that would require more time. Then you've got here the locator bar. So this is the way your software is going to look like when you just open it for the first time and you've added some data set. They are what are called plugins. So plugins, these are just useful features to the software. A plugin is a software add-on that is installed on a program for you to enhance its capabilities. So QGIS has a lot of plugins. Here we have about 974 plugins. So different developers, different independent users have developed software add-ons to extend the capability of QGIS. That's one of the powerful features of QGIS. So there is a larger developer community. People are contributing to the development of QGIS. They're able to develop software, develop plugins to add on the power of the software based on what they would want to analyze and come up with. So the beauty about it, all these plugins are available for all users. Yeah, so this is the end of our first session, and we'll be moving into the exercise, and we are breaking for five minutes. And if there are questions, you can type in the chat and I will respond to them, and then we'll move on to the exercise. Thank you so much. So we are resuming at 13:55 GMT plus 1, GMT plus 2. So if you have any question on what we've covered, type in the chat, and then after 5 minutes, we'll migrate into the hands-on. Thank you so much. Welcome back. We're now proceeding with the hands-on. Yeah, so I sent you a zipped folder named data, and then I also the guide for the exercise. Within that, you've different files. There is a QGIS project, getting started with QGIS, and there are other shape files, and there is a raster data file, Sanjay LC. So our case study or study area is Sanjay district, which is located within the southern region of Malawi. We would want to create a map for this district that would show location of secondary schools, and also we would want that map to have also a road so for communication. So that is the aim of this. And then we would also come up with a land cover map for the same area. So you should, when you've unzipped your folder, you should be able to see these different files that are in there. In the guide, I've explained what the different files are and which files you're supposed to add to your project. This is the map that we would want to come up with by the end of this exercise. So the map shows district secondary schools that are within the district. And also you have a road, the main road that is within the district that connects various places. I hope we all have our software open and we are good to go. Can you just raise a hand if you've installed QGIS and it's working and you have the data set with you? Okay. Okay. So 3 people. Okay. Okay. Great. Wonderful. All right. So the first part is just an explanation, description of the data set that you have. And then the second part is for you to how you can install. This you've already done, but we'll begin from section number 3, where we are talking of the interface. And I already explained this in the introduction. Okay, that's nice. Now, I would want you to go to your Windows or whatsoever software you are, whichever computer or operating system you are working with, your computer has, and then you search for QGIS 3. So we are working with QGIS 3.22.14, and then you have it here under the applications. Then you just select it or click on it once, and then you load the software. Yeah, so there I have an untitled project. If I click on new empty project, so I open an empty project, but it doesn't have a title. This is just the same when you want to write something in Word, you open Word and then you have an untitled Word document, whether it's a PowerPoint document that you are working with. So what we're going to do, we'll work with a project that has already some layers added to it. So we're not going to work with this untitled project. What you can do, you can close this project. You don't want to save it, just discard. Then I would want you to go into your folder, data. So within that folder, you have this project, getting started with QGIS. So type is a QGIS project. So if you just click it once to launch it, yeah, so you should have a project like this. Just confirm by raising your hand so that I'm able to, I get to know if we are on the same page, if you have managed to open your project and your project is looking just as it has been displayed on the screen. If you are meeting problems, just type in the chat and I'll be able to attend to you. Okay, Mariam, it's working for you. Okay, great. Okay, Muhammad, okay, it's working for you. Great. Right. So we proceed from here. So when you have this, okay, Samuel, it's working for you. Great. When you have your project like this, we said this is the menu bar. Under these items, there are different functions. We would want to zoom in, zoom out, we want to measure, do a statistical summary, zoom full, you want to do all those things. You want to add new layers, create layers, copy style. You'd want to open an active profile, you create a new profile, you want to open a style manager. You'd want to install other plugins. For instance, if you click on plugins, manage and install plugins, it's going to open the plugins manager. When you want to install a plugin, you need to be connected to the internet because they are fetched from a remote repository. Then you can just select a plugin that you want to use for your internet purpose. But you need to know what that plugin does, and it's going to be fit for what you would want to use it for. Okay, then you install plugin. You want to connect databases, raster data. You want to calculate raster data. You want to use the raster calculator for your raster analysis. You want to georeference, assign new coordinates to a scanned image, for instance. You want to analyze data. You maybe want to create a hillshade model. You want to change projections, you want to extract a raster, you want to create a buffer for a particular GIS layer. For instance, you may say, okay, according to the rules, no one is supposed to cultivate along the river banks within 2 kilometers, or maybe that's too much, maybe within 100 meters from the river. So you would create a buffer, 100 meters buffer along that river, and then you would be able to see who can cross that buffer zone. So you would create a buffer using the buffer tool. And then here you have different tools, and then when you just hover your cursor over the pointer over the tool, you should be able to see a short description of what that tool is. Okay. So there are different tools here. Then here you have the browser panel, you have the layers panel where your layers are. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. So the 2 of the layers are active. Nsanje is the boundary for the district of our interest. And then Nsanje S is the point layer showing the location of different schools within the district. Then you have Malawi villages, which are villages, a villages shapefile or point layer for all the villages that are within the country, Malawi. Then you have Nsanje LC, which is a land cover map for Nsanje district, which is located in the southern region of Malawi. So these 2 are inactive. We will not use them in this section, but we'll go into them if we still have time and towards the end. Then
Want to stay with me here?
You have your points which represent location of the schools labeled. Okay. So our interest.
You can pretend this pillow is me.
No, I want someone I can talk to.
Our interest is to generate a map that I had shown you before. So this is the map that we want to generate, but you only have these other layers. We don't have this road and we don't have all these items. So how do we get there? So that's what we will be doing now. Okay. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll add the road shapefile so that we have that layer on the map. So when you want to maybe zoom in, zoom out, you can use the mouse wheel, zooming in, zooming out of the map, or you can use these tools here. Okay. Maybe you have zoomed out and then you would want to at least your map, you would want it to come back to a good percentage of zoom percentage. You can just select, let's say, the boundary, right click, and select zoom layers, and then you've got a good scale representation of our map. Then next, we would want to add the roads layer to the map. What to the project? What you do, you go. There is this tool here, Open Data Source Manager. So Open Data Source Manager is going to give us different tabs that are going to help us select the specific tab that is or tool that is relevant for our data set. So when you click on this one, you get a Data Source Manager raster pop-up, or a Data Source Manager pop-up. So there are different tabs here. So in QGIS, it's different with other software, for instance, ArcGIS or ArcMap or ArcGIS Pro, where you only have one button that is used to add any kind of data set. But in QGIS, you need to specify. If you are working with vector data set, shape files, you select vector, raster data set, raster, mesh data, point cloud, delimited text layer. So you have your data set in your Excel and you convert it into CSV. You want to add it to your software. You use delimited text layer option. You can also open the browser panel and browse directly to the folder where you have your data set. For instance, I have my data in here, and I'm able to see the data set that that is in my folder. So these are different ways how you can add data to your project. Another way is you can go on layer in the menu bar and go to add vector layer here, or you want to add raster, add mesh layer, all those options that we saw in the data source manager, they are also provided here under the layer function. So you may not, maybe you don't have this open source data source manager tool. What you just do is just right click anywhere within the toolbar, and then you see the tools and the panels that are active. Maybe you don't have the browser panel, you don't have the layers panel like this one, or you don't have the processing panel, the processing toolbox panel like the one that is to my right of my software, or you don't have some of the tools, you don't see them. You just need to go here and see anything that is not active, is not like I've activated now the layer order tool, is it panel. So if I uncheck it, it means it's deactivated. So that's how you activate and deactivate different panels and toolbars. So if I deactivate the browser panel, I don't see it anymore. I go back and activate it, and then here it comes. So we move on to adding our data set. So you go on the data source manager, then from there, go on the browse button, and then we say in here, we're interested in adding the main road. So what you do is you select this one, the one that ends with .shp, because that is a shapefile. The description, I'll put the description in the exercise guide on what a shapefile is. So it stores the geometry of the feature. And then you'll see that you have other files with the same name, but these others, they are supporting files. So this is the main file, but these ones, they are supporting. This is a projection file. It stores projection properties. This stores the database properties, the attributes, then the index. But if you delete one of these, this file is not going to load in your software. That's why when you are sending, you send all these together. So you select this .shp and then you open. The other way, okay, you select it and then you hit add, and you close. So you have it. It has been added to your software. The road is here, main road. But then the other way would be, okay, if I remove it, the other way would be go there and then browse where you have your data set. Then instead of you seeing everything that is within the folder, you just want the specific file format, a shape file. So you go here on all files, and then within the file types, you select ESRI shape files. Okay, so you only see the shape files, the ones that end with .shp. So you select the one of interest, the main road, open, you click add, it has been added. I wanted to add a shapefile, but I used the raster source. It wouldn't work because it's a different file type. For instance, I click on, let's say, main road again, open, add, it gives me an error, unsupported data source. So I need to be very careful when I'm selecting the data source because it's determined by the data type. If it's vector, you need to select the vector data source. If you raster data source is point cloud, is text, delimited text layer, you select delimited text layer. Okay. We now have our main road added to the project. We now want to style it or symbolize it, okay, so that there is a good visual hierarchy. One of the ways of creating better maps is your map has to be balanced in terms of organization of the map layers, map elements, but also you're talking of visual hierarchy. When you're looking at different features on your map, there should be a distinction. I cannot assign the same color for the points here, which represent location of the schools, and then the same black color assigned to the road. It's going to be confusing. So there has to be a distinction. So that's why we're going to style. So QGIS has abilities in which you can change the style or the appearance of the layers that you want to represent or to present on your map. So you have the main road here. So I want to change the representation or the style of this. What do I do? Okay, maybe before we go into that, when you see you've got the names here like main, then underscore road, Nsanje SS, underscore SS, Nsanje, then it doesn't make sense what this is SSS, but there is a description in the guide what SS is, secondary schools. So main road with an underscore. So the best way when you are working with your data set in your GIS, as a rule, you're not supposed to have space between the names. Main road, don't put space, put either underscore, or you can put M in capital letter, then R again as an uppercase without space here, or you put an underscore. This is the best way of writing names of the files for your GIS your GIS data. Other software will not allow this. QGIS can allow your spaces, but then other software will not allow. So we want to work our data set. When we prepared our data set, it has to, somebody should also be able to use the same, even on a different software, because the functionalities are just the same. So what we'll do now is we'll rename these layers to meaningful names. So main road, in order to rename this, we just want it to appear as road on the final map. That's how it is shown here. It's just road and school for Nsanje SSS. And then the Nsanje, which is in Nsanje, is just its district boundary. So we want our map to appear in that way. So what do we do? What we do now is we just right click on the main road here, select it in the layers panel, right click it and go on rename layer. Okay, you select that. So it's editable. You can just type road, okay, and hit enter. It has been renamed. We'll do the same for this one. This has to be school. So we'll select it, right click and hit rename, okay, and type school, hit enter. So it now makes sense. This one is a district boundary. So what you do is you can right click and rename, or the other way is just double click the name itself. No, it opens the layer properties, but I just wanted the name. Just click it once. It should be editable. Okay, no. Okay. Apply, okay, yeah. So even if you double click, it opens the layer properties. And then on layer properties, you click on source tab and edit the name, layer name, you edit it and click apply, okay. And it also works. So our layers have been named properly. What we're going to do now is we want to work now with the symbol of the road so that it is just as it appears on this final map. So what you do is you double click the symbol for the road and then you open the layer properties. Another way of doing it, right click, then select properties and you open the layer properties dialog. Within here, you click on symbology. So within the symbology tab, it's where you change the symbol, the colors, and then the appearance of the road. You want it to be dashed, the line, you want it to have which color, and all those things. That's what you do in here. So nextly, what you do is you will select the appropriate symbol down here. So you have different sections in here. You can change the color, you can change the opacity, how opaque you want it to be, or you can change the width of the line itself. Down here you have the symbols that you have that are that different symbols that are in the software, supported by the software. So you need to scroll down until you find a symbol called topo road. Okay, this one. So topo road. You click on this one. Okay, and then you have your okay. So if you click that one and try to click apply and drag this aside, you see that this is how your road has been symbolized. But this is not how the final map looks like. We still have to work on this. So the second thing that we do, we are going to work with what are known as symbol levels. So we don't want this where you have, okay, where you have a line, then you have a connection here, these segments. We just want this to be smooth. So what you do is you enable symbol levels. So select, open again the properties. Then down here, within the layer properties dialog, there is advanced option. So you click on advanced, okay? Then there's an option on symbol levels. You click here, and then within the symbol levels dialog, just enable symbol levels, okay? Hit OK, hit apply. And now, yes, our line is smooth without segments. So, but we are not yet there, because when you look at our final product, okay, the color is different, even the width. So this one is, the width is different from the one that is in our final product. So what we will do is, we now want to change the color. What are we going to do? Okay, so underline here, under this the symbol representation, you have this one, simple line, white fill, and then simple line, black fill. We first work with the simple line white fill, which is the main color fill for the line itself. So what you do, you select this one, and here you see the color, default color, but we want to change this. So you select this pattern at the end of the color itself to open, to choose the color for your road. You are at liberty to choose whichever color, but the thing is, we want to make sure that our map appears professional. So let's say I choose blue and hit apply. Okay, then okay, you see a road is appearing in blue, and conventionally blue is for water. So when somebody looks at this, the first thing, the impression on this map will be this is a river, but it's a road. So you need to select the right color. So what you do, go back, open the properties, and then what you do now is you select again the simple line, the first option, open the color properties, and then down here you click on choose color. You have a color code that you would want to assign your row. It has been specified within. It has been specified. Okay, please, let's make sure that we mute our mics so that we shouldn't disturb our colleagues. Okay, so what you do now, by the end of the day, we would want to change the color and assign the color that has been specified. So there are many ways of doing it. You can use the RGB, okay, RGB code, where you just change the value here. So the colors that we know, they are formed by a mixture of red, green, and blue. Different combinations or percentages, they determine the color that you produce, okay? So for instance, if I put a 0 here, so R is for red, G is for green, okay? And B is for blue. Okay, I create black. 0, 0, 0 is black. Okay, 255, 255, 255. Okay, I create white. Okay, and if the HTML notation for that is a hash, the pound symbol, and then you have 6 F letters. Okay, so the code that has been assigned here. So we just change the HTML notation, but assigning the code that has been specified of 6 A189. Okay, that's the code. Okay, then I hit OK, and that's the color. So I will again click this, and I will assign the same color as the other one. So down here, so QGIS down here, you can see the recent colors. So no need for us to specify the color code. This is the recent color that we used, and you can specify the hex notation, the HTML notation. That's the color that we used. So just select it, and then that has been assigned. Okay. So another thing that you can do is to change the stroke width. Okay, change the stroke width here. What you just do is you go on stroke width. So the width of the lines, then just using the arrows, down arrow you are reducing, up arrow you are increasing. So let's say type 0. We can just type in there 0.1. Okay, hit apply. And then you click again on simple line. We change the width as it has been specified to be 0.46. So stroke width here, I can just highlight everything and type 0.46. Okay, and hit apply. Then okay. Now we have come up with a line that looks like just as it is on the final map. Okay. Titus T. Tomba, can you please switch off your video? So this is the final map. This is the final map. And this is our map in the software. So what you do next, what we do is we will create the final map. But before we do that, in the introduction, I talked of spatial and attribute data. So spatial data, I said, is geographic data, data about location, X and Y coordinates, or latitudes and longitudes. They may be degrees, minutes, seconds, or they may be meters. And then we have also attribute data about the geographical data about the objects. So it describes the geographic object and an object. So like here we have school locations here, and we know what we want to know. If these were not labeled, what is the name? What are the names of these schools? Or maybe there is teacher ratio. How many teachers are in there? So how many teachers are at that particular school? So what you do is you need to open the attribute table. So data set attribute data is stored within the attribute table. So you select schools in the layers panel, and then right click. There's an option here, open attribute table. If you select it, it opens the school attribute table. So this is the name of the feature, which is school, and then you have total 15. So we have 15 schools within this district, which appear as features, as points in here, as points on the map. So you see that behind these points, this is the information. This is the data set that is behind every point. you have the FID layer, or this is just the name of the layer, then the district where it is found. They are within they are from the same district, Sanje, which is the southern, the district found in the southern region of Malawi. The EMIS number, school name, which is school, the name of the school. Then you have teachers, teach 2013 number of teachers. So it's now that information is not provided. Then boys 2013 number of boys, boys enrollment at that particular school. Then girls in the year 2013, how many boys or how many girls are enrolled at that particular school. Then this is just a file path where your layer is stored. So this is the attribute data, which is the description of the data set. So here, each column is a field or is a characteristic. It describes the features. Each row is a feature or an object. So like the first one is a particular point, which is a school like into a CDSS. Then this CDSS, this secondary school is found in this district, has this EMIS number, it has this school name, or this is the name of the school, this is teacher, number of teachers, number of boys, number of girls. So for each row, there is an attribute or a description of what that object is. And if I highlight any one of the rows, you will see that on the map, the same is done. So you see that what I highlight here is also highlighted on the map. Okay, so I have highlighted the school here known as Okera CDSS. And on the map here, you see that this map that has been highlighted in yellow, it is also Okera CDSS. So there is a link between the attribute information here and the spatial data here, what is presented on the map. That's the power of GIS. This is not what you cannot do this in Excel. You either keep this, you just keep this information, but you will not have this representation. I know there are integrations of spatial data in Excel. There are some integrations. For instance, there is you can integrate QGIS in Excel, but these things are only done in QGIS. That's the power of QGIS. You're able to combine visual representation and again the attribute information. So for me, just to deselect what I had selected, just select this and go here, deselect features. So that is deselected. Now we move on to so there was a question in the guide, which of the fields or columns would be useful to label our points. So I just want to see your suggestions in the chat. If you wanted to label these points, which of the fields? That's why it's very important for you before you do the labeling of the features. First, you need to explore the data set, check the attribute table, and see how it has been presented. And then we will select the right field or the right column that we use to label the features. Okay. Then we move on to making the final map, our first map in QGIS. Just to mention that QGIS is just known as QGIS. It's not Quantum GIS. It used to be known as Quantum GIS, but since I think it's 2013, it was adopted officially, the name just QGIS. So when you say QGIS, that's enough. And we no longer call it Quantum GIS. Okay. Now, for us to make the final map, we need to know that this map only appears within your software. It's not the map that you can share with your boss, for instance, to show if maybe these are schools in which you are carrying out your interventions as a project, and you are an M&D officer. You cannot send your boss this QGIS project. what you need to send your boss is a final map, a product like this one. Okay, so that's why you are supposed to make a final map transition from this window to another window, so that you are able to create a map layout and add all the map elements that can be that you would want to appear on your final map. So what you do is you create what is known as a new print layout. A print layout, it will open a new window. So for you to do that, you go on. Okay, I should mention here that it's important as you're working, doing your analysis, things happen, computers crash and the power and all those things. Sometimes the software can crash and then everything that we're doing, if you didn't save, it's gone. So it's important to be saving as you're doing your analysis, or as you are doing your, as you are making it, you are doing your map making and all other things. It's important to be regularly saving your work. So for us to open a new print layout, you go on a project. So you click on project in the menu bar. We said this is a menu bar. Click on project. Then down here, there is what is known as new print layout. So you want to create a new print layout. A print layout, it will give you a blank page, which is just like a page in a Word document, where your map is going to appear if you add the map layers. Okay, and you can determine the size of the page. If you want it to be A0, A4, A5, later, all this is done in the software before the map is printed out. So that is going also to determine the scale of your map. So you click on new print layout, and this create print layout window pops up, and I'll write here, type the name of my print layout as in Sanjay Schools. Okay, then I hit OK. A blank window pops up, and then with a blank page here. This is when you check, you look at the orientation of this page is landscape. When you look at the way our map layer is, the district boundary itself, you see it can be better presented on a portrait page. So what you do is you just need to switch the layout, select the empty or the blank page, and to the right here you have layout, and then you have item properties and GIS tools. If you can't see this, just right click, just go on top here in the toolbar, right click and activate, whether it's item properties panel. You see I deactivate it, I reactivate it, so that I'm able to work with properties of different elements. So select, and then you go here. Size, I can determine the size, A6, A4, A0, I'll choose A4. Then landscape or orientation. Landscape by default, I want portrait. So that is the page, just setting the page. But now then I want to add the map layers onto this page. So from this to this page. So what you do is there are different tools in here that you can use. So again, different menu items here. Okay. Then there are also tools here that you can use to add different elements, control different elements on your page, map layout, move items, edit notes. This is for add a new map, add 3D map, add picture, type, label, legend, scale, north arrow, and all other icons or tools that are available there. So what you use now, want to add the map, we use the add map. Then I click on that one, and here I will just draw, okay, draw a box like this, then release it. Then I have that map there, all the layers that have been drawn on this page. But when you look at this and what we have here, this one looks nice, professional, well balanced. Okay. So a good map should also be balanced, well balanced. Should cover at least 70% of the page, not just a map that is just at the corner of the page. So when you look at this, it's balanced, but this one is not balanced. So you need to work with scale. Okay. If you print this, what it means, this is an A4 plain paper. You print it out, it means your map is just going to appear here and all these blank spaces. So these have to be filled. So how do you do that? You need to change scale. So what you do, you go back to item properties. If you can't see this, it means your map hasn't been selected. So, but if you select it, then item properties appear. Within scale, you insert 320,000. How did I arrive at this? It's trial and error. So you try different scales and then you see how your map looks. If I put 250,000, this is 250,000. No, this is 2,500,000. No, that's very small. Then 250,000, it's too big. My map goes beyond the frame. So if I put 310,000, still big. So that's where I said 320,000. Yeah, that's better. So what I will just do now, so there are different tools here that I can use to drag the map, expand the boundary of the map, the map frame. So one of them is select item, select or move item. If you select this one, you go here and drag this to the top a bit, drag again just down, just like the way you do in Word when you are inserting a picture and all those things, or in PowerPoint. So, but still more I have, yeah. Now I want to reposition this map to be at the center of the page. So I can use this other tool, move item content. I select this and just drag. Okay, center this. Yeah, it's at the center. Yeah. Then I click again on move. Okay, I move item. I drag and nudge this a bit. Okay. Yeah, so that's better. I move content item again, drag this a bit. Yeah, so at least my map now is balanced. But you see, it doesn't have a frame. So what I will do is just select it. And when you have it selected, under the item properties, so these are properties for this item, the map itself, you have different properties. Okay, there are properties of scale here. Okay, my scale has changed. 320,000. 320. That's the right scale. Then down here, there are different options. You want to insert grid lines, okay? You want to rotate and work with background, color, and all those things. But we just insert a frame. So you select this frame, and a frame has been inserted for my map, okay? You click anywhere, you see that the frame now has been inserted. I can still more drag my map, center the map, okay? Go back to this, and then, yeah, now I have a frame. So next is I want to add other map elements. So I don't know what, if you just print this out and then give it to a boss, your boss will not know what it is. Where is this? What is it showing? So you need to assign a title. So what you do, there's these two here, add label. So you just select it and drag here and input drag on the page where you want your title to appear. There is default word here, rem ipsum, and then under item properties. So you see under item properties, you delete this and type the name. So this is a name that has been specified. Okay, so that's the name. But then there are specifications. We need to change the font type to Century Gothic and then font size to 36. And then it has to be bold. So the text has to be bold. So how do you change that? Okay, there's under appearance here. There's font. Just click on font. Okay. Then a text format window comes up. Then here, font, you can scroll up or down, but the best way is just for you to highlight this and type Century. See, Century Gothic, where are you? Yeah, we have Century Gothic there. Here it has to be bold, font style, select bold. Size should be 36, just highlight and type 36, then click OK. Now we have Mbeya district, our title, but then it's covered. We can't see part of it. So you just need to resize this, or yeah, just resize. When you so now you can see that 36 is not working. We need to adjust the font. You go back, hit 28. Yeah, I think 28 works best. Then under horizontal alignment, so you can align your way just like you do in Word. Justify, you want to say center, it should be aligned to the left, aligned to the right. So alignment should be center. Then the title, you see text for the title has been aligned to the center. Then I have it, Mbeya District Secondary Schools. So if I give this to my boss, you know that this map shows districts for secondary schools. Avoid writing something like map, okay, map of Mbeya District, or a map showing Mbeya District Secondary Schools. Everybody knows that this is a map. When you give this to somebody, they will know that it's a map. No need for you to write again in the title, map of. There are a lot of people that do that, but that's cartographically wrong. So you're supposed to write, just type the name. That's okay. We know that this is a map. No need for you to say map of. It's just like you have, if this was maybe in another document, a report, you would not put a title here. What you do is you put a caption. So a table, this will be like a figure in a document, then you put a caption. That's why you can write a map showing whatsoever. But if this is a standalone map, you not put it not insert it in another document like a report. You just need to put the name, to put the title without including the word map of. So next, what you do is we add other elements. So other elements like you want to add a legend. A legend is just the same as a key. So you want to add a key. You want to add a north arrow to show map orientation or map direction. You want to add a scale bar to show scale, representation of distance on the map versus distance on the ground. So let's start by adding a legend or key. So there's this tool here, add legend. Click it, and then you do the same as we were doing when we were adding elements. You see that there are a lot of things that have been added. Some of these are from the Nsanje land cover layer. So we don't want this on this map because this map is just doesn't have this. So, but when you just add the legend to your map, everything that is within the layers panel is added to your map. So you need to work around that. So you need to take out what is not desired. So how do you do it? You go on item properties here, then with your legend selected, then down under legend items, you deactivate the auto update. Scroll down so that you can see the tools that are down here. Select this one is, we don't want this to appear, select it, and then use this minus sign to take it out. You see now, I've got a better legend, but now there is Malawi villages. This map doesn't show this layer. So this has also to be removed. So what you do, select it again and also take it out. So I have the right layers that are appearing on my map. I should mention it here that if you do not edit the names before, what you would have done now is you would have made edits now. For instance, if this is district boundary, you select it and use this one, edit selected item properties. Okay, so then this comes, then I just say boundary. Okay, I go back. Now you see it has been changed here, and I can go back there or just double click and then change it back to district boundary. I should also mention that it's also possible for you to leave this out because this is a boundary. Obviously, somebody who's going to be reading this map will know that this is a boundary. No need for you to specify this boundary, but you can put it there. But not everything has to be on in the legend and on the final map. Okay, next, we would want to add a scale bar. A scale bar, this is the tool, add scale bar. So put it and you drag, click, then you have that coming. But then this is the default scale bar. You can change it so that it matches this one. So this is how the scale bar looks on this final map. So what you do, select it. Then again, we'll go back to item properties. So these are properties for each item. I select the map, the whole map. The item properties are for the displayed are for the whole map. I select just the title for the text. I select the legend for the legend. And I select the scale bar. The properties are for the scale bar. So I'm working with the properties. So what you do, under main properties, there is style. Change this single box to line ticks up. This is what has been specified in the guide, line ticks up. Then down here, it has also been specified that under segments, the segment down the right one should be 3, not right 2. It means you need to add, you are adding another segment on the scale bar to the right. So like that, you see you have added another segment, 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15. Previously, we just had 2 segments, 0 to 5 and 5 up to 10. Okay, there are many things that you can do. You can change even the font type of the text on the scale bar and all other things. You can explore those things on your own. The next thing that you want to do is you want to add a north arrow. So a north arrow shows orientation. Not always you're supposed to add a north arrow. A north arrow can be optional. What it means, if I look at your map, the right, okay, if it doesn't have a north arrow, I will assume that top is north. So that's the assumption that I'm going to have. So if I want to add a north arrow, I'll go on the add north arrow tool and click it, select it, double click. So, and then okay, then a north arrow, the default north arrow is added. I can resize it. The north arrow is not an important, it's not a when you put these map elements on scale, let's say 1 to 5, 5 being most important and 1 being least important, then a north arrow would be among the least important elements on a map. So it doesn't have to be like this, a huge north arrow. So there are some maps people design and then they have a north arrow that is too huge. Okay, our interest is this map, the features on the map, not on the north arrow. So I can only go here if I want to, I'm interested in knowing which is the north. Okay, so I need to, this should not be the main focus of the map. So it can be smaller like that. Okay. Yeah, it can even reduce it in size. Okay, like that. But now I want, there are different symbols or different north arrow representations. So if I want to change our final map as this kind of north arrow, so what I will do, select it under item properties. Here you have picture and SV browser. Under SVG browser, you have SVG images. Under SVG images, that's why you have different images, SVG images that are represent different icons. So here there are different of them, but we want this kind of north arrow, this one. That's what is on our final map. So just select it. Okay, and this one, the north arrow has changed to the one that is on the final map. Our interest, then what we need to do now, we are also interested in as putting the name of the author. I should also mention that the name of the author is not the most important element on a map, just like the north arrow. So if we had a scale of 1 to 5, the author details would be 1, a north arrow would be at 2. So 1 being the least important, 2 being the most important, and 5 being the most. So this is the map itself would be 5. Okay. So what it means is make sure that even the text, the font type, the font size for the text, for the author details, the cartographer or the one that has done the map, they should be small. If the font size for, let's say for the legend, you can check the font size, fonts and text formatting. Font size for item is 12. So the author details can be 8. Okay. So we'll add the text just as we did when we're adding the title. Then I'll write with the author. Okay, cartographer. So a cartographer is the one that designs or makes maps. Cartographer is the science and the art of map making. Cartographer, then I write my name. Okay, press enter, and then date for today. Date. Today is 20th. Okay. January 20, 2023. Okay, so I have those details on the map. So you can resize, drag, and all those things. But now I said this should be, font size should be 8. So select and go back to item properties, select the text, go back to item properties, under appearance, click on font, and make sure this is 10 by default. I need just to select 8. Then the type should be the same. I should maintain the font, Century Gothic. Okay, yeah, so that's it. Then what I'll do now is I'll add, please, if you have questions, type in the chat. I'll attend to them at the end. What I want to do now is I want also to, yeah, this is my first QGIS map. I've come up with a map in QGIS, and this is a product. I can send it to my boss via email, or I can print it out and present to him that this is where the schools that they were working in are located, and these are the names and all those things. This is enough. Even without this, without the author details, it's enough. But I want to indicate the name, my name and the date I've created this map. But also in QGIS, also provides another image or icon that indicates that this has been made in QGIS. So I want to brag that, no, you know, now I've mastered QGIS and I've made a map in QGIS. You have one name there, but how people believe, I want to put a seal that this has been made QGIS. So what we'll do, I'll add another image. So to add an image, we go on this add picture. Click on the add picture tool. Then now I want the picture to be down here. Okay. So if you look at this map and this map, they look the same, but the difference is this one doesn't have the made with QGIS label. So we want to insert this label. Okay. So how do you do that? Just the way you did when you were adding the north arrow, but this time you just add the picture, then you click on picture, add picture tool, and then you click. So you can either, like, go back, you can either, okay, after selecting the tool, you can either just double click where you want it to be. Then it says new items, just click OK, and then you drag this to where it's supposed to be. Or the other option is you can click the tool and specify the area that you want to be covered by just dragging the box there, and you release it, and that's where you want it to be. And we're going to find that label under SVG images within the item properties. So you go again, item properties, SVG browser, SVG images. If you scroll down there, there is yes, there is this one. This is the label, QGIS logo made with color in color. So select it, and you see that I have inserted that label, made with QGIS. So I can resize it. It's also not the most important element, because my map can be printed out and sent without it. But I just want to add this so that my colleagues can appreciate that I've mastered QGIS and I've made this map with the software. Okay. Now, when you look at this, I've balanced the way I've put my elements. You see that I haven't put these things just here, all of them up there, the elements, the legend like this. Then I take the north arrow, put it there. I take this guy, put it there. Okay. Why doing this? So I drag this and place it there. I would have done that, but I've tried to balance this the way where I'm placing the icons or the elements, because the map is supposed to be balanced. A good map is going to be balanced. This map is top heavy, so all elements are at the top. The title, all those things, all these other elements are at the top. Okay, so I need to make sure that my map is balanced. That's why I've been very careful in the way I've been choosing where to place what. Okay, so that I should come up with the professional output. Okay, we passed 3 p.m. 15 hours. We are finalizing. I hope but you are free if you are rushing for another meeting, another assignment. You are free to leave. Thank you so much for joining. But if you would want to stick around just some few minutes, feel free, so that we finalize what we've been doing here. But also, if you have questions, please post in the chat. I'll be able to attend to you if you have problems. So we have a map that just looks, it looks exactly as the one that was shown here. Okay, similar to this one. And we have made our first map in QGIS. So this is just an introduction. There are many things that you can do in GIS and QGIS. We haven't done any analysis here. The only thing we did was add layers and then create a final output, work with the style, and then maybe explore the attributes. But there are a lot of things that you can do in QGIS. And you would agree with me that it's simple. All you just need to do is learn this new software if it's new to you and master the skills. So practice is what helps you master the skills. Just find some data set, try to come up with a map, then you master the skills. So map making is both a science and also an art. So the designing skills, they have to be there. The science, you need to know why you are doing the what. So there are a lot of things here which I haven't mentioned. The projection and all those data has been prepared. You worked with data set that is clean, prepared, but there is a lot that went into preparing the data set to make sure that we have the data set working. But you can expand on what we've covered here. But this is the basic way of making a map in QGIS. You can keep on improving this and do a lot of things. But just as an introduction, this is what you can do. I believe and hope you've understood, you've gotten something new, or you've improved or sharpened your skills. Yeah, so now the floor is open for questions. Let me attend questions. There's a question here. Somebody says, where add frame and change page size. Okay. How to come up with a map, downloading the layers. Okay, fine. Okay. Okay. Cropping the data, cropping, and then the flow. All right. No, that's fine. Well, how did you add the frame? Okay, legend also how to remove other layers. Okay. Where do you get the files? Thank you so much. Okay, the first thing, somebody says, how do you remove other layers from the, so if I select this, okay, let me delete this. I want to add the legend. So what I do, add legend, then I have everything added that is in the layers panel. So if you go in here and expand this, you see all these things, okay? But if you go back, you don't want this because this is not what your interest now. So what you do is you go to item properties for this item that has been highlighted here. Then down here, the legend item. So these are properties for the legend. Title, you can put even a title. So some would like legend, but it's not, I don't like doing that. Legend, for instance. Somebody would say, oh no, I want to write as key, okay? But if maybe it was just a land cover, I would say I want to write land cover, okay? Then my legend has that title, land cover, it was land cover. Maybe it is a map just shows population density. I would say, okay, I want it to have title population density. Okay. Then you say, okay, how do I take out this? I said you go under legend items, then and check the auto update so that you are able to remove manually the layers that we don't want to appear in the legend. So this is one of the layers, the land cover. I select it and then use this minus, remove selected items from the legend. Okay. I can also, if I wanted, you see, a point is supposed to be on top of a line, and then you have a line, then you have a polygon. So what you do, I want the school to be on top of the road, which is a line. So I'll select this, and then use these arrows. Move item down, move item up. I move the school, so it's a point is on top, then a line, then the boundary, the polygon. I don't want to show the villages, select it and remove it. Okay, that's how we do that. Then how do you, okay, add frame, changing size, page size, okay, fine. So what you do is, I said, if you have, just select the blank. Okay, let me save this. The blank layout, new layout. I'll create a new layout. Q and A. So if I have this blank layout, I want it to be in portrait mode. So you determine that based on how your map appears, the layers appear. Your map appears in the layers. The way your map appears in the map view. So if it's oriented north-south, I suppose the best way is because if I added that map that we've been working with to this, you see, it's elongated north-south, not east-west. So the best way, the best representation would be change the land, change it to portrait. So just select the blank page, then go on item properties. The item properties will appear here. Size, you select the right size. If I wanted, maybe, I know I want an A0, then you see the size has increased here. Then that's an A0, okay? Then you say, okay, fine. It has to be portrait, orientation, portrait, okay? That's portrait, A0. No, I want it to be F4, not A0. That's F4. So you can zoom in by just changing the percentage here. Let's say this is 100%, this is how it looks. Okay, if this is at 50%, that's how it looks. Okay, that's how you change the size. Now, somebody says, how to come up with a map, downloading the layers. Okay, fine. Thank you so much. Cropping to the district of interest. Okay. How do you access the data? Fine. There are different data sources on the internet. If you don't have the data set, the first place where you can access data is the internet. So if I let me open my web browser, Google, and then I say GIS data for Malawi. Okay. I have these options here. Master, geospatial data, Department of Service, then Malawi subnational administrative boundaries from humanitarian data, then GIS Malawi from UN Spider Knowledge Portal, then there is Malawi Data Portal. Okay, there is Malawi Spatial Data Portal, which is master. There is GISMalawi.com, which is an atlas for it also holds data. So the data set is available on geoportals. Okay, these are portals that host GIS data. Master Malawi Spatial Data Platform. This platform has a lot of data sets, available data sets for Malawi. So all these data sets, if I say I'm interested in boundaries, okay. You see, you have all these. You want regional boundaries, district boundaries, protected areas, agriculture, and a lot of data sets. It's available here. So you just need to select to specify what you want. I want health facilities, health. Then I have medical, OpenStreetMap for health and all that. Another platform would be for Malawi, would be the Malawi GIS Malawi.com. This one, GIS-Malawi.com, Malawi's Atlas. So you go there and then you open, it opens the portal. Okay. Malawi Disaster Management Portal. Layers, you see, expand, then there are different layers there. You want for the country, environment layers, and soil, you select, or you want hillshed, river, gauge stations, administrative data, district boundaries. Okay. Then you can download here. Click on this. Then I want a shapefile, download. Okay. Then I can download it. Globally, there are, if you are not a Malawian and you're working in a data in an environment, you're working in an area, a different area. You maybe in America, or you from Botswana. There are people from Botswana that registered. You are from South Africa. There is natural earth. Natural earth. On natural earth, so natural earth data.com, you can download different layers for different countries and places around the world. Okay. So there are a lot of things, features that you can download. Countries, the boundary lines, disputed areas, populated cities, urban polygons, water boundaries, rivers, and all those things. You can download them from natural earth. So that's what you, these are just examples of where you can get data. Another question is, accessing via Google Earth. It's possible to access via Google Earth to access data. Okay, what I'll do is I'll open a different project, a new project. You can add tiles to your GIS, QGIS. So that's one of the things that you can do in QGIS. You can load Google Earth data directly within QGIS, or OpenStreet data directly within QGIS if you do not want to work with shapefiles. Okay. Okay, adding grids. It's possible if you wanted to add grids. It's not always necessary. But if you want to add grids to your map, it depends on the purpose of your map. You can add grids. Just select the map itself, then scroll down under item properties. There is a grids option. Here we are, grids. So you expand that option. Then here you can add grids. Add new grid. Select that one. So they will not be added automatically. Grid 1. Then you go modify grid. Okay. Specify the grid intervals. Okay, if I put 100 in the X axis, 10,000. So those are the intervals. 10,000. Okay, let me put 20. The interval I get 10,000, 15,000. The intervals I get, yes. So I'm happy with that. And I change this again to 15,000. It's not 15,000, it's 150,000, I think. What I've written. This is 15,000. Yeah, so that's the 15,000. Then I say no, I think in the y-axis it would be just 20,000. Okay, so that's the interval. Then I say I want the grids to be labeled. Okay, I would say let me go down here, and there's draw coordinates. Enable this. Coordinates have been drawn, but you see they are protruding out of the page. What it means, if anything that is outside this white page here, when you print this map, it's not going to appear on the final map. So what you do, you say, okay, it's either I reduce the size or I just change the orientation of the labels. So let me say I change the orientation of the labels for the X, for the Y. coordinates. And I would go and where? Okay, left. I'll from up. No, I'll change horizontal to, let's say I want vertical ascending. You see, they have changed. I do the same for vertical ascending again for the right grids, the same. Then I don't want these trailing zeros, 0.000. What I want, I will just go down under coordinate precision and put 0, enter. So the trailing zeros have been taken away, have been removed. Then say, okay, still down here, it's outside. It's these are outside. So I just need to change this, drag it a bit, top a bit. Then again, the map has to, okay. I want the map to, yeah, drag it so that it's still balanced, yeah. Then go back. Yeah, now I have the grids. Then say, I don't want the grids to be drawn like to be crossing the fissures. So what can I do? You say, okay, fine. Can I just go into modify the grids? So you say, okay, select the grids, and then item properties, select the map, then you go grids, then grid 1, modify grids. So what I'll do, I'll change the appearance under the grid type. Let me see, grid type. I just want frame and annotations only. So I'll do that. The grids, I'm only showing now the frame and the annotations. But you see, there are no pointers here. So I want markers outside the frame. So I'll under frame style, go under frame style. Then there's exterior ticks, interior ticks. So let me choose exterior ticks. Yeah. So then I have exterior ticks. So this is how you can add the grid. So to the map, you see. So it's just a matter of working with your scale, and again balancing your map. Okay, if I just change this to 1,000, okay, 325,000 at scale, so that my map is still more within the grids. Yeah, so that's it. I've added the grids. Yeah, so there were questions on those. I think I've attended all the questions. Okay, there was something. How can I add Google data to my project? Okay, if this is my QGIS, there is under by default. I don't know because I've modified my QGIS a lot. My software, so there are some things that I have here, but normally you don't have just by default. You need to add them. Under XYZ tiles, there are different tiles. You not have see all these. Maybe you have OpenStreet map. So OpenStreet topo map, OpenStreet map. Okay. Let me find an image. Google satellite hybrid. Yeah. So I have these things down here. You can add all these things to your QGIS if you don't have them by default. So, but you need to be connected to internet because these are fetched from the internet. You can also connect these portals that we are looking at, Master or Natural or and Malawi Spatial Data Platform, or even there are other portals like for UN Spider, Food and Agriculture Organization portals, GIS that host GIS data. You can connect directly in our QGIS. So there's a way of doing that, and then you can access data directly from your software. I should also just mention that this 25 minutes after 3, I would like to thank you for attending this session and for staying to this far. I just want to announce that in the upcoming days, I'll host another session in which I also introduce a free and open source software which is commonly used for statistical analysis, R software, but it can also be used for GIS analysis. So I would want this is what I host. Turn your R software into GIS. So I'll announce the days, date, and the time when this is going to be hosted. So if you are interested, just follow my my LinkedIn account, and then also follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel where I'll post this session. So this recording is going to be posted on the my YouTube channel, but also I think I'll send communication to everybody that registered, share the link, and this the presentation that I've made I also share with you. But if you still have questions, other questions that you want me to attend to, feel free to drop me an email. And if I'm not tied up, I'll be able to attend to you. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Or if it's afternoon, it's evening, depending on where you are, it's morning, have a great morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
thank you.